All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Toxic Masculinity. We are here to entertain, offend, defend anyone and everyone more than anything, hopefully to make you think. And for some of you, it might be for just the very first time. We're here to make you scratch your head, scratch your ass. Just try not to do it at the same time. We have other special features as double D's in your face. And my co-pilot in crime is Don the Predator Frye, and yours truly, Dan to be Severn. So, how did we do there on that flying by the seat of my pants there?
Marvelous.
I think it's good. I think it's good so far.
Hopefully I just simply covered it so just we could basically talk about anything and everything, make fun of people, laugh at people, and then and actually get serious at different times.
When you were talking about double D's in your face, I had a different view than Don and Dan, and then I came back to reality.
You know something, we don't. That's the one thing that we like on the show here. We try to promote someone's span of imagination. Okay.
Educate and entertain. I like it.
Yes. That's the whole purpose of such quotable quotes. It's kind of like, well, we're toxic masculinity. Mr. Frye actually, when he wakes up in the morning, he identifies as a masculine male, and so do I. It's kind of like going, huh. So, all right there. So, Mr. Frye, do you want to introduce our guest here today? Maybe I know that we've been flapping our yap right along here right now. So, William, do you pronounce the last name is a
Branum.
Please.
Branum, yeah.
Branum, okay. And you said you'll go with Will or Will?
William, whatever. Yeah. Either one of those two.
All right.
What's up? He's been Navy SEAL for over 20 years.
26 years. 26 years, 17 days.
Over 20 is,
yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
At least.
Okay, but my first question is, at what age were you, and what made you decide that you wanted to go with the military?
So I think I from very young age, I always knew that I wanted to be part of the military in some way. I wanted to be part of some elite unit. My role models growing up was John Wayne. He's got a picture right here. He was the movie Green Beret. He was a Green Beret in Vietnam.
Yes, sir.
There was the movie Delta Force with Chuck Norris. Yeah. There was what else was out there? There was some other John Rambo. He was an Army Ranger.
Yes,
and maybe did some other stuff. I grew up watching like Kung Fu theater, so I wanted to be a ninja also when I grew up. And I was also
Dan took your spot in that one.
I'm still working on that one, so that's why I'm hanging out with you guys. Then I wanted to. Then I was heavily involved in the Boy Scouts. I became an Eagle Scout, and I grew up hunting and running around the woods, in camouflage, shooting guns. I thought I was a pretty good swimmer until I actually went to SEAL training, and then I learned that I pretty much suck at swimming, but I am comfortable in the water. And I always knew I wanted to be part of some elite unit. I wanted to fly F-14s, and I wanted to be, something like that. I didn't know what a Navy SEAL was. We didn't have internet back then. The TV that I had growing up, I had like two like knobs on it with rabbit ears, and
two knobs and two channels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I told someone that I wanted to be, something like that. And he was like, well, why don't you be a Navy SEAL? I'm like, well, what is a Navy SEAL? He's like, they're like the best of the best as far as like special forces go. They jump out of airplanes. They blow shit up. They scuba dive. They run around in the woods. And I was like, that's what I want. And I think it was really the water component that really drove me to being a SEAL, because I thought I liked scuba diving because I watched National Geographic and things like that, and being underwater was attractive to me at the time. I don't really like going underwater that much anymore. They kind of broke me from wanting to enjoy that piece of it. But so the year between my 11th and 12th grade of high school, a Navy recruiter called me, and he was like, "So you ever thought about joining the Navy?" Originally, if he'd have called me like 6 months before, I would have been like, "Hell no! They have the ugliest uniforms. They're wearing bell bottoms and dungarees and the little white Dixie cap. Like, it was like the worst uniform of all the services. Like the Marines, the commercials I watched growing up.
Wait, I need to cut you off there on the bell bottoms and stuff like that. For my friend, I probably have a couple pairs of bell bottoms still in my closet. So
Just waiting for them to come back into style.
Yeah, you know what? I think they're back in style now. But and after the Navy, of course, phased them out. But you know, but the Marines, you know, their recruiting commercials were like, you know, they have like a badass uniform and they're fighting dragons with swords, and I'm like, these fucking Marines look pretty good over there. So, but the Marines weren't Navy SEALs. So the Navy recruiter called me and said, "Hey man, have you ever thought about joining the Navy?" And I was like, "Well, I want to be a Navy SEAL and I want to fly F-14s like the movie Top Gun." And we had just finished the first Gulf War, and that war was won by, you know, air superiority and dropping bombs and doing stuff like that. So those were the two components that I was looking at. When I joined the Navy, and then, you know, I joined the Navy, and eventually it took me a while. It took me 3 years from the time I joined because I made some tactical errors in my decision-making process, and before I actually got to go to SEAL training.
But you didn't come from a military family. Your father wasn't
military.
Actually,
my grandfather was in the Navy in World War II, and it's interesting. Like, he used to tell me these stories about, you know, how they taught them how to sneak up behind a sentry, and like they would say, you know, grab his nose and cover his mouth so he can't scream, and then you take your K-bar knife and you shove it into his throat, like, and then you push it out like that, and that's all that he ever told me, like, you know, my entire youth. And then after I graduated SEAL training, then he told me the same story again that I've heard a million times, and then he said the first one struggled a lot, and it was like a lot of work, and I had some, you know, some lessons learned from that. But the second one, I grabbed that dude and took care of business quickly, and I was like, oh shit, that was badass. I had no idea ever. So
wow.
But I didn't have, like, he just, you know, I knew that he was like a bosun's mate. He drove the little, if you've ever seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, you know, those
Yep.
landing craft, like bringing the Marines ashore. Well, he drove those landing craft into the beach to drop the Marines off. And then he also, you know, I have a picture of his ship that he was on in World War II. And he has these stamps that are underneath the ship with these airplanes crashing into the water. And those were the kamikazes that he got credit for. He's like, I shot down way more than that. But these are the airplanes that I got credit for shooting down during World War II, these kamikaze planes coming to try to, like, blow us up.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, damn, Papa, you're badass. But that's just my internal monologue.
I love it.
It was a short one, too. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it is really good there that because usually families that have fathers or uncles and stuff like that
Right.
that are in military, they tend to kind of follow in suit there. So
And my dad was also in the Navy. He was a CB, kind of a construction guy. And but none of their experiences ever was a reason that I wanted to join the military. I just wanted to join the military because I wanted to be part of a small elite unit. I didn't want to be part of, like, big army and, like, have these big marching. And I wanted to, like, shoot guns and blow stuff up and, like, work as a small team sneaking around and doing cool stuff.
wow. I mean, did you grow up? Because you said you like going out hunting and that.
Yep.
Did you grow up like on like a farm area, or did you just?
Well, I grew up in Meridian, Mississippi, or outside of Meridian, Mississippi. And so my grandfather, he was part of a hunting camp, and every Saturday we would go hunting, and we'd go, you know, hunt whitetail deer, and then in the spring we would also hunt turkey.
Okay, so definitely it sounds like Grandpa was a big influence there on guns and you know,
and
getting things done quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting. Like, after I joined the SEAL teams and I learned how to really shoot guns, and then we went back and we were hunting and, you know, messing around with guns, I realized he didn't really know how to shoot that well. Like, I didn't know it as a kid because I didn't know anything. But as you know, I learned more, and I went back and I was you know, talking to him and hunting with him and things like that. I realized, like, wow, Papa, you don't know how to, let me teach you how to shoot now. Like, you've taught me a bunch of stuff. Let me teach you how to, sight alignment. And like, he would see a deer or whatever, and he would just throw his shotgun up and just blast away, not really hitting in like any vital parts, but we would have to track, these animals for a super long time. But, he got better eventually also. So.
Oh, yeah. I'd say, I know Don's heard some of these stories before, but I'm a farmer as well. Shooting at 22, you got to be very accurate with a shotgun and buckshot. You just got to get into that general vicinity.
General area, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So, that's
get close. Maybe one of those pellets will knock them down.
I don't have to worry about it. When I go bird hunting, like they use 22.
Yeah, I mean that will make you a better marksman for sure.
Dove hunting,
yeah,
use
22 bird.
Yeah.
Wow, they're fast. That's impressive.
And I got some land to sell you too.
That's impressive.
So, how many times have you got shot while hunting?
Only once. Only been shot one time hunting.
You're running around in your deer outfit or what?
I was a turkey outfit actually. Okay. My great uncle mistaken me for a turkey, and then
the uncle he didn't like you, huh?
Well, the story is he had cataracts, and he had a face net over his face. And so he was probably about 15 yards away from me. I was sitting there first. I watched him like walk up. And so I did my turkey call. And he looks at me, and I'm thinking like he sees me. I'm not like super camouflaged. I'm wearing a camouflage hat and like a jacket and blue jeans. And
but it's that red turkey gun.
There's that, my beard wasn't quite in yet, but and so I wanted to look like a good hunter to him. Yeah. Because I was 15 years old, and it was in the afternoon, April, I think. So a lot of mosquitoes flying around, and so I was trying to like wipe them away very like slowly. And he saw this movement of my hand, and because of that, he's like, and I would like maybe do a little more turkey call. There's a difference between a boy turkey and a girl turkey.
Right.
They make different noises. And but he just heard the turkey call. He saw some movement, and he aimed right where he saw the movement. And I happened to be looking to the right over here because I'm thinking like turkeys are gonna fly in over here or something. And then he shot like boom, and I got hit like sort of the whole side of my body, and in my head and across my face. So like a pellet went through my nose. I've got a bunch of pellets like in my head still. I've got like 30 something pellets in my body, and 2 pellets went between my ribs and into my colon and caused some internal bleeding. But I was like, I had to walk out of the woods. Like he shot me, and the way it happened, it went down as I'm looking over here, boom!
Ouch.
I'm like, I kind of felt the percussion, the blast of it. It didn't really hurt. I mean, kind of like getting hit with a baseball or something. And but I was like, well, he saw me, so he didn't shoot me. Maybe I got like some of the blast, and I'm thinking there's a turkey over here behind me, and I turn and I look, and it's just like thicket. You can't see like 2 feet into the woods right over here. And I'm like, there's no turkey there. Why? What the hell did he shoot at? And then I get really hot, and I kind of get the metallic taste in my mouth, and my face feels like it's the size of a basketball all of a sudden. I'm like, maybe he shot me. If he did, I'm going to shoot him back. And so if I spit blood, that means he shot me, and I'm going to shoot him back. And so I spit, and it's just nothing but blood. I was like, oh, that's bad. Wait a minute. He saw me. I'm like talking myself out of it. He saw me. No big and then like my arm is starting to like not work properly, and I still more metallic. Like, my face is getting bigger, more swollen, and I'm like, holy shit, I think he shot me. I'm gonna shoot him back. If I spit blood one more time, I'm totally gonna shoot him. And so I spit, nothing but blood, and I'm like, you mother, and I just started swearing at him. You shot me, you son of a, and and so I tried to shoot him back, but because I was hit like in this side of my arm didn't quite work. I couldn't quite get the shotgun up. And he was like, at that point, he's like up, and because like I'm yelling and cussing at him. He's like, what happened? What are you doing here? I'm like, you shot me, you motherfucker. And like, I was a little upset. And he came up, and the first thing he did, he was smart. He took the gun away from me, and he was like, oh, how did that happen? And so he had like his son is a grown man, and he was also out hunting with us. So he was deeper in the woods. So I had to walk about a mile back to the car, and then he had to run back down into the woods, find his son, and then we all, drove to the hospital together. And so, I've got a few deployments under my belt as a SEAL, and I never really was too concerned about getting shot in combat. I'm like, what are the odds of, me getting shot again? I mean, the rest of you guys, you're
in trouble.
Like if shit goes sideways, I'm probably not going to get shot again. So yeah, I've been shot. I've been shot only once while hunting.
Well, were you ever shot while you're deployed?
I was never shot while deployed. I was shot at. I had people try to blow me up, but never. No one ever hit me while deployed. I don't mind getting in a gun battle because I have a pretty good. I think I have pretty good odds on that side of it. I don't like when stuff starts blowing up around me. That's not cool because you don't really have. I've never been blown up before. I mean, I've been kind of blown up since then, but getting blown up is not cool. Getting shot at is fine.
I need to go back to. I need to find out how have the Thanksgiving gatherings been affected by this?
Do you guys people
get together and share turkey and stories. We definitely
hung out a little bit, but it was funny. The best part was, we show up to the hospital that my grandmother works at. I don't think she liked Uncle Grover that much in the first place. Yeah. And then I'm laying there on the hospital, like in the bed or whatever, and she's like, "Do you want me to go shoot Uncle Grover for you?" I was like, no, it's cool. I think she would have done it, She's still kicking. I just saw her last month. I went home, I went to my son's graduation, and then I flew down to Mississippi for her 93rd birthday. So she's still kicking. She's still got it going on. And I did go hunting with my great uncle since then also.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah. So, we went hunting, and then I would, dropped off at the first sort of deer stand, and I got up in the tree, and I just followed him, crosshairs, don't turn around. That's not going to work out real well for you. And so when we finished hunting and they came out first, they would make sure they knew that they were coming. So that I didn't just start shooting in their direction.
They weren't clicking the antlers.
Yeah, not so much. They're like, "Hello, we're coming up your way." Yeah.
I thought you might have offered them up like a Bullwinkle hat or something like that, has the horns out to or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Over here.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Well, I mean, do you have any brothers or other siblings, brothers, sisters?
I have a sister. She still lives in Mississippi. She was not much of a hunter. She's just a, does girl stuff, I guess.
So she's never shot anybody other.
Not that
she'll admit.
I don't know that that's true, but I don't know of anyone that she's shot or she's been shot. So.
Well, how deep in the family
it's not a family tradition yet. Yeah. There's still time though.
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
Well, I'm gonna jump around the conversation right now because to see two men that are sitting there wearing a T-shirt that says "Get Naked," I'm thinking, I kind of have to ask some questions here right now. What exactly is this?
My question is,
are you jealous because you weren't invited?
Why don't you have a T-shirt that says "Get Naked"?
Because he showed up late to the party.
Everyone should have a shirt that says "Get Naked."
But as you can see right there, I do have one that says signatures for soldiers.
I'm okay with that one.
So I did that one out of respect for you there, Will. I did it out of respect
I appreciate it. So "Get Naked," that's sort of the slogan, I guess, for Naked Warrior Recovery, and Get Naked is it's a lot of things. So for some people, it's mental health. It's take your ego off and stop hiding behind ego and man up. And
you're exposing yourself.
You expose yourself. Yeah. Get out there and don't be scared. Be real. Be authentic. Stop hiding behind
clothes.
Yeah. Stop hiding behind your clothes. Stop hiding behind your ego. Stop hiding behind other people. Just be you. The other piece of it is NAKED is an acronym, and NAKED stands for Never Quit, Accept Failure, Kill Mediocrity, Expose Your Fears, and Do the Work. And so there's a whole line of, I've actually created a website where you can download it's about an 8-page PDF And the website is 5 sealsecrets.com. And you can download the PDF, and you can like kind of read what each one of those letters means, what never quit really means, like, you know, from a Navy SEAL perspective, what accept failure means from a Navy SEAL perspective, and from a broader perspective, killing mediocrity, because we live in a world of mediocrity, like, you know, instant gratification and, you know, scrolling, you know, social media and YouTube. We're just mediocre now. Like, nobody wants to be the best of anything. We're just okay with like, I want my, you know, my government check for not working, and I want my free phone, and I want my free internet, and I want like free shit. Like, go out and work for it, and like earn it. You know, exposing your fears.
Okay,
like,
but Will, I want to stop you right there. I mean, is there really such a thing as free? I mean, you sound like you live in the same world that Don, Frye, and I live in, this real world, and free. There's no such thing as free.
100%.
Everything will cost you something.
That's what I say. Like, everything costs something. Like, and who's paying for it? Or am I paying for it? Am I paying for you? Well, I should get something from you in return. Like, this is a capitalistic world that we live in, a capitalistic country, economy. Like, we should, like, what is it, value? Like,
or it costs you your own self pride,
right.
self dignity. You know,
right? Exactly.
If
so
you
yeah,
too much free stuff.
There's
too much
free
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much free stuff takes everything out of you. You know.
Right.
Because you have no dignity, no self respect.
You're just, like, mediocre, or, you know, you're
a
less.
slave. You're
like,
a freaking
exactly.
slave.
Yeah. And so, and there's many levels to that. You can go down the sort of the political route. You can go down like, just like, I'm a 9 to 5, you know, office worker, and all I do is I show up, I surf YouTube while I'm at the office, and then you know, when I'm done surfing YouTube, I go home, and then I sit on the couch and I watch Netflix, and I'm just mediocre. I'm not really providing value to the world, or to, you know, my family, or to whatever. Like, you know, stop being mediocre, kill mediocrity in your life, and try to be fucking awesome. And and then expose your fears. That's a whole nother piece, where we have these fears that like live in the back of our mind, and they control us. They make us mediocre. They make us quit when we shouldn't be quitting. They, you know, fear, you know, is, you know, what fear is the anticipation of something that has never happened before, probably will never happen to you, but it scares you for whatever reason. And so, and I've experienced all of these things in my own life, my own world, my own realities. And that's why I kind of came up with these 5 SEAL secrets, and part of what Get Naked is all about. And the D is do the work, because like we talked about earlier, there's nothing free in life. It all requires work. And so just get out there and do the work. Never quit, accept failure, because you're going to fail. You're going to fail. Failure is the foundation of success. You know, the greatest successes on the planet have a foundation of failure. I mean, both of you are both UFC champions, and you both have lost in the UFC. You know, and
thanks for bringing that up again.
And some of that, some of those, you know, some of those losses.
Who booked this fucker? Jeez.
Some of those losses made you better. You know, you failed in training. You got stronger. You worked out. Your muscles went to failure. You became better. And so, you know, if you look at, you know, Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time, he missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. He lost more than 300 games. He missed, I think, 26 game-winning shots. Still, six rings, and still today, probably he's a billionaire today. And, you know, but he has failure after failure after failure. But what he did, if he missed a shot in the game, he would go work on that shot and then make it better. You know, you have got Steve Jobs, who was fired as a CEO of Apple, the company that he started. And he started another company, and they're like, "Oh, you're okay. You like, sorry, we fired you. Come on back on board." Elon Musk, he was fired as CEO of his first company he started. Billionaire again. Like, we're talking about billionaires here who have massive failure in their life and in their career, but they use that failure as a foundation for success. So if you have like a challenge in front of you, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, and you build this staircase of failure, and then you just hop right over that thing, and you get ready for the next one. And that's what it's all about.
Mr. Frye, you're supposed to be saying, hoorah, right after that. Come on now. I'm all pumped up here right now. Let's go. What's on the agenda here? I'm all fired up. I'm not even on coffee yet.
I'm going to say you must have your dollar bill in each of your slippers.
That would be a silver dollar piece in each one of them there. Don.
Yeah.
Come on now. The first one.
Real
But
silver.
no,
Real silver.
I totally agree with the whole attitude that you've got going on this, Will. I mean, there's a lot of people in life that simply lets life happen to them. They don't make life for themselves.
Right, 100%.
And you know you're going to fail somewhere along the way. It's the difference between people being successful and unsuccessful is picking yourself back up, dust yourself off, and just realize, is that the best you got? Let's keep going. Let's roll some more.
Let's keep going. Yeah, exactly.
You're going to get knocked on your ass by life, you know.
It happens.
Oh, I mean,
happens
well,
to the
again,
best of us.
we live in this era of keyboard warriors, to where they're going, I could type faster than you, and I could I could use these big old words and stuff like that. They're probably not going to understand. I can't stand when you used to do these interviews that people would come up with little pot shot comments here and there. It's kind of going, watch this one, delete,
right? Exactly.
Delete, yeah. And move on. To me, it's like going, I don't need those kind of people in my life whatsoever. I'll move on and
get rid of that toxic. Get rid of that toxic shit and move forward.
Yeah.
Just surround yourself with greatness. That's why I'm here. Like, surrounding myself by you two. Like,
I tell you what, I'm liking what you're dishing out there. I'm liking I want to learn a little bit more about these 5 SEAL secrets. What are the 5 SEALs, or did you? I know you basically covered them all.
So basically, so get naked. So get is taking action, and naked is those 5 SEAL secrets. The N is for never quit, and so that's an easy thing to say, but it's not that easy to do, especially if you have a challenge that's like, that seems unattainable. Becoming a UFC champion, becoming a Navy SEAL, starting a company.
I was
whatever,
because a lot of people, you keep putting up as a challenge, but to me, like going a challenge, or use the word setting goals for yourself. Because a lot of young people, they don't know what they're going to do in life,
right? And
they don't even understand the concept of setting a goal. What they do is it's more like wishful thinking. I think I'd like to do this, but then they don't put any kind of steps in place to start to achieve anything towards that direction. And I've got a billionaire friend that I show up to every now and then, and he's always surprised when I start to walk out the door. He goes, Dan Severn. He goes, do I see you retreating? I go, I says, I'm not retreating. I said, I'm simply reloading my ammunition to come back fighting again.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's part of it. Like, if you want to be successful, you got to have some kind of plan. And you can't have the good idea fairy. I got lots of good ideas, but in order for me to actually be successful and like accomplish something, I got to have a plan. Like that, I'll adjust that plan along the way because I don't know everything. And as I go and I fail and I learn and I succeed and I fail again, like I'll make those adjustments as necessary. But I have a plan, and I also like chop the plan up into attainable pieces. So, I want to, if I want to make a multi-million-dollar company, I got to have a plan, and I'm not going to do it overnight. I got to have I need to make $1,000 first, and then maybe 10,000, and then 100, and then, grow from there. Like what's attainable? It's $1 million, multi-million-dollar. Is that attainable? Well, it is, but it's a long way off.
It's not tomorrow.
It's not tomorrow. And so what do I need to do? Like, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do tomorrow? I need to make $1 first, and then 10, and then grow it from there.
And then in 6 months, we'll make $10,000.
Exactly.
And then in 7 months, we'll add another.
And then grow. And so that, starting a company, that's a thing, but it can be, even like getting a degree, doing, any kind of vocational work. If you want to be a missionary, it doesn't matter. Like there's no shortcuts. It's not this life isn't about instant gratification. It's not about just being easy and entitled. It's about making a plan. And if you want to do something and you want to achieve fucking greatness in your life, then you got to do work. So, but before you can and I'm just going to keep coming back to you guys, before you can step into the octagon, you got to fucking train. You got to learn how to wrestle. You got to learn how to do jiu-jitsu. You got to learn how to box. You got to learn how to kick and punch and take a punch. Yeah. And you got to learn all this stuff. And you don't learn it like the day that you show up to the ring. You learned it like, all along the way. Like you did some wrestling tournaments. You maybe from high school to college to whatever, or karate or whatever it is. Like those were steps. Those were attainable steps that you were able to do in order to, and you didn't quit along the way. You kept going until you finished that process, and then you go on to the next process. And so in steel training, we have, we've got Hell Week, and Hell Week is 5.5 days of you don't sleep, you're cold and you're wet and you're miserable the whole time, and the instructors are yelling at you the whole time. You have this boat on your head, and but they do give you a break during Hell Week. You eat 4 times a day, and all you got to do, if you're getting a little mentally fatigued, I don't know how much more of this I can do, all you got to do is make it to the next meal. Right. Or just make it to the end. They can only keep you in the water, jackhammering, shivering uncontrollably for such a long time. They can only keep you there for so long. All you got to do is wait till suck it up and man up and just get to the end of that evolution. They're going to get you out, and then they're going to put the boat on your head, and you're going to start running and doing races, and you're going to warm up just fine. And then you're going to be tired of doing that, and you're like, can I get back in the ocean and cool back down? So all you got to do is take these unattainable goals in your life, whatever they are, chop them up into, bite-sized pieces. And then you take those pieces and you just stack wins, win on top of win on top of win, and just don't quit. Just finish that one thing. Maybe you take a break after you finish that one thing. Okay. Then you start over the next day and continue on. And that's what Never Quit is all about.
So how was Hell Week for you?
I liked Hell Week. Yeah. I had a good time in Hell Week. It sucked. It's miserable. One of the lessons that I learned during Hell Week is, so just to kind of give you a story, you're broken up into boat crews. Boat crews are 7 guys on a boat, and you're attached to that boat the whole time. So I got a couple stories about Hell Week. Number one was Hell Week kicks off Sunday night, and they have these tents set up on the beach. You go to the tent, you lay on your cot, and they tell you don't fall asleep. Well, for us, the night before in the barracks, the fire alarm kept going off for many hours, so we didn't get much sleep that night. And so they all right, go out. It's 6 o'clock in the afternoon, in the evening. Go get in your tent and don't fall asleep. And then once nightfall comes, then they're going to come and get you and start breakout and all this other stuff. Well, I was tired. I'm anticipating, Hell Week kicking off, but I'm tired. I didn't sleep much the night before. So I'm laying there.
Were these alarms going off deliberately to keep
That's a fine question. I don't know. I don't know. But the fire department showed up every single time. But they took their sweet time getting there, an hour later, and then we go back and maybe sleep for a little bit longer, and then the fire alarm went off again. So I was laying out in the parking lot outside the barracks, kind of snoozing in the parking lot on the ground. Okay, you can go back inside. And then that went on for 4 or 5 times Saturday night into Sunday. And then Sunday you just kind of prep and get ready to go. You watch some movies, and the movie that we watched was Major Payne. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Yeah. And so that the humor from that movie just motivated so many people throughout Hell Week. You're cold and miserable or whatever, and someone will do the Damon Wayans, whatever his name is.
I'll take your mind off that.
Let me see your finger. Your mind off that
Let me see a finger. Or let me see a finger. Yeah.
Yeah. So those times of absolute misery during Hell Week, someone would crack off a joke from that movie, and everyone just starts laughing. You went from completely miserable to laughing. But
it's hysterical laughter because you're fucking
and you're
mind.
For sure you're a little fucked up. Yeah. And then so I fell asleep, of course, because I can't sleep anymore. But back then I could fall asleep at the drop of a hat. And so Hell Week kicks off. It's breakout. There's machine guns. They're blanks. There's explosions going off. You get up. You run out. It's just complete chaos, and what they're trying to stimulate is combat, the chaos of combat. And they're telling you to do this, and you go in that way, and they're just challenging you, and you're running around, and you're kind of in this zone of figure it out and get shit done and do what you're told to do, and more explosions, and okay, you go get wet, and then you have to grab your swim buddy, and then go tell your boat crew leader, hey, we're gonna go get wet because if they're gonna call for a muster when you're not there. And if you lose people while you're in combat or whatever, then you get punished for that. It doesn't matter. You're going to get punished anyway, but it's just part of the game. And then someone that had already been through Hell Week told me, like, when you're going through Breakout, what I want you to do is I want you to just like step to the side of the grinder there at the Buds compound. Just step to the side, pull yourself out of Hell Week. Now, you're not quitting. You're just like stopping, and you're detaching yourself from the situation, and you look around. Like, see actually what's going on there. And so, you know, about 30 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I think this is a fine time to like do that. And so I stepped off went out and got wet and sandy and came back with my swim buddy. And rather than like just starting to like do, you know, more 8-count bodybuilders or crawl around the ground, I just kind of like stepped to the side where I was maybe not quite noticed as much. And I just looked around, and there were, like, it's a 2-story, like the building is 2 stories. It kind of wraps around this grinder where you do all your PTs and kind of ceremonies and stuff. And I looked around, and there was the balconies were full of people. I had no idea that all these people were there. I looked this way, they're full of people. And then I'm like looking at sort of what's going on in the background with like how the instructors are what they're doing and kind of the other stuff. And I was like, oh, I got it. It's not so chaotic. So I just like detached myself from the situation just for a little bit. I took it all in. I'm like, okay, I see what's going on now. And I went back to being in the bubble of like, you know, completely immersing myself in Hell Week. So that was kind of a cool lesson that I learned. But another lesson that I learned in Hell Week is there was one boat crew that was winning all the races. I also knew that I didn't want to be surrounded by people who didn't want to be there. Like, Buds for me, it's 6 months long, but it took me a short 13 months to get through training because, you know, I like a little extra pain, apparently. I got injured a few times. And now I'm making it through Hell Week. I've been at Buds for like 6 months, just like spinning my wheels. And now I'm surrounded, like there are guys in my boat crew that they want to quit. And I'm like, get out. But other guys are like, no, stay. I'm like, no, let him go away. And so.
Why?
Because they don't want to be there. They want to quit.
No, I know
like,
that.
I don't want to be a quitter.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
So you don't want him, like, he's contagious. You don't want
he could be contagious for other guys. Let
Yeah.
them make their own decision.
Right.
And you know, and that is contagious. And
the bad
you know,
apple will sparrow whole.
There's and I saw this in some other evolutions where, like, as soon as one guy quits, other guys start to quit. Mm-hmm. They're like, okay, it's okay to quit. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why did you even show up if you're going to quit? Like, what was the point here?
So early in here, right?
Yeah, I saw guys quit. You know, when you check into Buds, you know, there's this misconception that you know, everything is for, uniforms are free and things like that. You know, they give you your uniforms, but you have to pay money to get your name tapes sewn on. You got to do the work to like stencil your name on there. You got to like start your uniform. It actually costs quite a bit of money. And like, guys were quitting the very first day before we did anything hard.
Shit.
And I'm like, what did you even show up? What is going on here? And I'm looking at these people and thinking that they're like amazing athletes, and many of them were. Like, we had amazing athletes quit because the water was too cold, or they didn't want to carry that boat on their head, or I didn't want to run anymore, or whatever it was. And so, you know, it's very cool in Buds. You learn like what people have in their heart, like their soul, like what drives them. Like, even though you're an amazing athlete, that does not mean that you're going to be a good Navy SEAL.
Right.
And, you know, quite honestly, I've done things in combat that were so much harder than SEAL training. Like, people say, oh, that's the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. It's absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not. It's only a selection process to see if you have what it takes to do hard stuff, because life is going to give you hard stuff, and you have the mental fortitude to like just press through it and keep going and do the things that are required of you in order to either live or, you know, thrive, however that works out.
Right.
I'm sure I have like 50 more stories about Hell Week that I could probably tell.
Well,
No, but I mean, that you're just describing right now, that Will, I mean, actually pertains just to everyday life. I mean, people got to do the exact same thing in everyday life. I mean, you got to wake up in the morning, you got to get your ass out of bed, you got to go to work, you've got to, you know, you got to make things happen.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like your job, well, you got to be looking for something better while you keep the first job. And
yeah, exactly.
But again, as I said before, you know, it's what you endured there for military wise was one aspect, but if you want to look at it from everyday life perspective, people got to get up in the morning. Everyone's got 24 hours in a day. How are you
going to use those 24 hours?
How are you squandering your day? I mean,
Right.
a lot of people do squander their day, spending
Sure.
too much time gaming on the laptops and that. But I mean, it's a great tool. The cell phone's a great tool. The laptop's a great tool if you use it as such. But at the same token, they're some of the biggest distractions. I mean, you watch people all the time. They got funny clips of that you can watch on YouTube as people are texting as they're walking down the road and they walk into a wall or walk into a post or something like that,
Right,
because
yeah.
they're just so mesmerized by this little electronic device here. But the same things pertain to everyday people about setting goals themselves and
Right.
then getting things done. I don't care if you're we had the big COVID crisis that was taking place. People were locked down. They can't work out, stuff like that. But I would say, what did that floor cost you? That floor cost you nothing. Still doing body weight exercise are some of the best exercise you can do. You still do jumping jacks and push-ups and sit-ups and squats
Jump
and
rope, whatever you want. Yeah. Go for a run.
So,
Well,
but,
let's get back to the buds training, because our first guest was Ray Cashcare.
Ray Cashcare.
Yep, he said
Former Navy SEAL.
he said he carried you through buds. That you were just a burden to him.
Ray wasn't tall enough to be in my boat crew.
He probably wasn't tall enough to be in anybody's boat crew.
Yeah, Ray went through buds before I did. So, but Ray was like my mentor when I got to my first SEAL team. He'd already been at the team for a couple years, and so when I came in as a new guy, I didn't know anything, and so Ray kind of helped show me the ropes, and yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a few Ray stories that I will not share on the air.
Well, good. I'm sorry we cancel this shit.
good stuff.
What was the hardest thing about combat for you?
Losing people. Like no one, like your buddy's right there today.
Right.
He was right there 5 minutes ago,
Right.
and now he's not there anymore. That was the hardest. Like it's like, and then the aftermath of that, like you're still depending on that person. You still see that person. I still see like people that I've lost. Like I see like people that look like them, and I'm like, oh wait, he's been dead for like 10 years. So that's the hardest part. I mean, being in combat, I enjoy being in combat. But, losing friends, that sucks.
That's a big, heavy guilt trip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the hardest, is the guilt.
Yeah. I mean, some of it, there's this thing called survivor's remorse.
Right.
I think that's what it's called. So we've had some of that. On one of my deployments, I was in Iraq doing security work for, so our mission was a miserable mission, but it was a no-fail mission. And our job was to keep the interim Iraqi government alive. We provided security for them. And that was like, because the SEAL team, like there's all this sort of inner service animosity. Like no Green Berets are better. No Navy SEALs are better. No Marines are better. No Army, like everyone's like, we're all, who's better? But because this was a no-fail mission. Like we can't afford politically and strategically to have one of these guys killed. They pulled us off of, hunting down bad guys to keep these guys alive. Yeah. And so on one of those, and we also were doing work in Afghanistan. And so I was at SEAL Team 10. I was a platoon chief in 2005, and we deployed. So my platoon deployed to Iraq to do that security mission. And I was going somewhere with this. I have no idea where I was going, but I'm just going to tell a story anyway. It was about losing guys. So I was in Iraq, and we're doing the work. And before we went, I was pretty pissed off that we got this mission. My platoon got stuck with this, and I kind of bitched at my commanding officer. And I was like, "Sir, you know that our platoon is better than those platoons." He's like, "You're right, you are. Not all SEAL platoons are created equal." And I'm not saying that we were always the best, but that particular platoon that I was a part of, I would put them against anyone. Mm-hmm. Most of them went over to development group. Most of the guys went over to development group and thrived over there. But while we were in Iraq, the other platoon was in Afghanistan. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the Operation Red Wings, where what's the guy's name? Marcus Luttrell, was the lone survivor.
Right.
So he was from the team that I retired from, but that was our sister SEAL platoon went over to do that mission, and to hunt bad guys in Afghanistan. And I was emailing those guys, the day before they got shot down. And so we lost. That was the biggest loss of SEALs up until about 10 years ago, when another helicopter full of SEALs got shot down. But that was the biggest loss of SEALs since Vietnam. And they were like people I was just talking to, and that was tough. And then we've had guys that didn't get on the helicopter that, they eventually were kicked out of the Navy because they had so much weird survivor's remorse that their brains were all screwed up. Yeah. And it's carried on with them. So I think losing people is really the hardest part, but that's combat also. Yeah. That's just part of it.
Who okayed that mission for that helicopter to go in that position?
So there were a lot of lessons learned from that. That was a quick reaction force. So there were 4 guys on the ground doing reconnaissance of a bad guy, like his compound. They were up on the mountain observing a compound down over there somewhere. And you can't really hide in Afghanistan. Those guys are walking all through the mountains. They know if a bush is out of place, they know it. And so there was a shepherd kind of cruising through and walked right up on the guys. And so they wrapped him up and they tied him up and they eventually let him go. And the thought is that he left and he went and told the local warlord or whatever, Taliban, hey, there's a bunch of Americans up there and this is where they are. And so the Taliban came up and they took the high ground and they started engaging the SEALs that were on the ground. And then those guys fought their way back. We lost 3 in that gunfight. And then Marcus Luttrell, he sort of got blown off the side of the hill. But Murph, who eventually got the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously. Michael Murphy. He got up on a rock, and he was shot, and then he got up on the rock and he got on a cell phone because they couldn't make radio comms because there was a mountain in the way of the satellite, and he got up tall enough in order to call back to the headquarters that was a couple hundred miles away, and said, "Hey, we're under heavy gunfire. We need a quick reaction force." And so he called directly back to the platoon, the task unit, and they ran out and they coordinated and they jumped on helicopters and flew out. And then it was broad daylight. The organization that the Army helicopters that we were working with, they generally don't work in the daylight, and the MH-47s, the double bladed helicopters, they can go a lot faster than a single bladed helicopter. And so they were in a hot hurry to hurry up and get there, and they didn't wait for their kind of support gunships to get there and kind of clear the area and secure the landing zone. And so they rolled in, and one of the guys on the ground with an RPG had a direct hit and knocked the helicopter out of the sky. The other helicopter, they were shot at, but they missed. I had buddies on the, one of the guys on the other helicopter, he's been in 5 or 6 helicopter crashes. And I was like, for sure, Pete was on that helicopter. And he was like, dude, I saw the RPGs cruise past our helicopter. And, we were lucky they missed us and they flew away. But, I'm in Iraq. I can't do anything about, my brothers, getting killed over here. And I'm busy babysitting, these
politicians.
Yeah, exactly.
Or bureaucrats. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I'm gonna say when you were saying the words RPG, a lot of the people aren't gonna understand RPG. Just to let them know, it's a rocket propelled grenade. Correct?
Exactly. It's funny. I was in the SEAL teams for a few years before I even knew that acronym. Funny enough.
Yeah. Well, I was actually in Afghanistan and went on a USO tour to half a dozen of different FOBs. So that was really interesting to be there. And then probably the most solemn occasion was they let the different people know that it was either around 5 a.m. in the morning that they were going to be bringing some of the soldiers' bodies
Yep.
And that if you wanted to step out onto the asphalt, this is how you do it. And so I went out there, and it was, people need to see this kind of stuff.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
they don't unless you're there. I mean, but it just the way that each soldier just would step up there, just their toes onto the asphalt.
Yeah.
And then as their comrades had passed on, as they're being driven past. I mean, they some would salute and that, and then they would once it was passed far enough, then they would head back to their barracks.
Yep.
To that. So it was
go
a
out
very
and
solemn
pay
occasion
respects,
to
yeah.
watch. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, it's very big where it's like, most Americans have never been to Washington, D.C. They don't go and see the greatest, what's supposed to represent our country. Americans don't see that. They don't, they should go and see like Arlington Cemetery. They should watch the changing
Yeah,
of
for
the
sure.
guard, because
Yep.
those are, or go over to the different monuments of Vietnam and other wars, where when you, with one stroke of a hand, as your hand goes across this chunk of marble there, that your hand just ran over across probably several thousand names that they're poof. They gave their life for you to be stupid,
Yeah.
and that's just
100%.
that's the part that pisses me off all the time here, because it's I'm big about education. I want to come back for one thing. My question was for you is that a lot of other foreign countries, upon high school graduation, you now go into the military,
Right.
for probably a minimum, I think, of 2 years. Yep. And I really think that the United States should do the exact same thing. That we have lost so much.
I don't disagree with you.
Integrity. We've lost so much. I hate to say, we've lost backbone and balls is
Sure.
what we've lost.
I mean, I think the biggest issue that we have is the big media drives fear, drives complacency, drives like if we could, you can't get rid of the First Amendment, but freedom of speech and media and all that other stuff. But if they had integrity and they actually reported the news instead of trying to drive fear and chaos into the country, then we would still be fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, I agree. But there was a time, though, if you did print a story or you talk about a story and you did not have the facts, you were held liable at that point in time.
Not anymore.
And you'd have to do a retraction. I mean, that's the sad part about it, is like, yeah, there's certain sources to be. If I'm reading the National Enquirer, that's one magazine.
Right.
I expect to see mothers who got impregnated from aliens from outer space, but I don't expect that to be on my television. Off of one of the major networks.
Well, sure. Up to 9 months ago, we were awesome. For 4 years.
Okay, well, let's go ahead there, first, Frye. I saw you about ready to say something more witty here.
You want me to do the math for you, Severn?
Related to money, I understand it better.
Trump. How's that?
Yeah.
That's money. That's successful money.
And we also have we've forgotten. We as Americans, because we have like so much opulence, and there's this, and where people are talking about oppression and all this other nonsense in the United States. There's no oppression.
There's none.
There's some microaggression. Sure. There's no oppression. But 9/11 this is the 20th anniversary of 9/11 coming up.
Yeah.
We've forgotten. We have 9/11 was horrific, but it brought the nation together. It brought other nations hate the United States because of what we have and the awesomeness that we have. And after 9/11, other countries were like, oh, you're we support you. We support everything that you do. We're sorry that what happened to you. And then, and then the media gets involved. And then, we're quick to forget tragedy and whatever. And, then the media comes and they manipulate the truth. So you only think about what they want you to think about, because that's what sells.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the sad part. As I refer to it all the time, the sheeples of this world. They keep, if you watch enough of one brand of news and you don't explore a little bit of some other stations and that, or the internet, you will definitely be led to believe in only one direction. And that's
100%.
what I think. You got them blinders on and you're seeing straight ahead. So,
So you're in Hawaii.
I am in Hawaii.
Okay.
I mean, right now I'm in Arizona, but
Yeah. And why'd you come to Arizona?
to hang out with you guys.
Damn right. What are you gonna do this weekend?
So this weekend, flying to New York City, we're doing and Ray Cashcare did this with me last year. He's doing it with me again this year. We're doing a swim across the Hudson River, and it's to bring awareness to homeless veterans. It's, to bring awareness to veteran suicide. It's to bring awareness to the 20th anniversary of 9/11. It's to bring awareness to Extortion 17, which was the other helicopter that was shot down 10 years ago. So it's the 10th anniversary of Extortion 17 being shot down. It's the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And so what we're doing is we're going to start it somewhere in New Jersey at one park. We do about 100 push-ups. We grab flags, and right now there's about 170 of us, I think, SEALs, first responders, and other patriots. We're going to do like a 2-mile run with flags along the river, the Hudson River, to another park. We put the flags away. Some people put them on a bus and take them over to New York. We get in the water. We swim out to the Statue of Liberty. We do 100 push-ups out there. We do 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. And then we get back in the water. We swim over to Ellis Island. We do another 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. And then we get back in the water and we swim down to Lower Manhattan, where we grab our flags. We run down to the 9/11 Memorial, where there's more pull-up bars. Then we drop the flags off. We do another 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups, and then we will place flags on, like little mini flags on the around the 9/11 Memorial. So in commemoration, to remember, all the people who died, to remember that, terrorists came and like attacked us, but we're also, remember the veterans, the people, the first responders, the people who have sacrificed to protect this nation and make it great. And it's a hard event. Like, I did it last year and it was a kick in the balls. And Ray, if Ray were here right now, he would tell you exactly the same thing. It's a really hard thing to do, but that's one of the reasons we're doing it. We're going out there, we're going to go crush it and raise money and bring awareness.
Wow, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that's obviously got to be an all-day event. I mean, just to be able to do all that stuff.
It's a few hours for sure.
No, they do that before lunch.
Well, you lost me on that swim there. I don't look too masculine if I have to have my little floaties on there.
I thought you were hyperventilating when you heard the word lunch. Well, that'd be free lunch.
That might be the dangling carrot that makes me through.
Yeah.
There's lunch on the other side. Well, Severn's gonna make it.
And it's funny. Wow. I'm not a good swimmer. I hate swimming. But part of doing this event is like not being mediocre, not doing hard shit. Right. Like, you should always challenge yourself, challenge your body, challenge your mind, do hard things, and that's part of killing mediocrity. And so if I can totally not do it. No one's going to judge me.
Right.
I want to do it because it's hard and because it's for a good cause. And it's just one more way for me to kill mediocrity in my own life.
Well, again, it's you reach more people when you use your own life as an example to others.
Right.
So, yeah. No, it's that's huge. And again, like you said before, surround yourself with like-minded individuals or as close as possible. But that way, everyone helps raise each other.
Right.
In the process. So, I try to do this with a lot of people. I meet a lot of athletes. I do a lot of seminars, doing submission grappling this or amateur wrestling that. And if you want to excel, you got to set those goals, and you have to then know how to move towards those goals, setting those different steps, and knowing that, just like you said before, you're going to have some failures along the way, and overcoming those failures, or just keep trying again. I mean, it's I had to use a computer to get through to one student at one point in time. I was completely lost on this one kid. For whatever reason, it just dawned on my mind. I asked him, "Do you play video games?" Oh my God. His eyes lit up that he loves playing video games. I go, "Well, when you first played video games, how were you?" He goes, "Oh, I was horrible." well, why were they horrible? Because I had played it enough. I go, so the more that you played the game, it's kind of like practicing the same move over and over. The more that you play the game, you got better. You got the more that you practice this maneuver, the better you're going to get with that. And I think, and he finally got it. And as I was walking away, I felt my head going. Then I had to use a laptop to or a computer here to get to someone. But at the same token, it's kind of going. At least I got to him, and it registered to me. Finally understood what it meant to try.
Yeah. That's the world we live in now.
Yeah. You want to dive off? You want to dive off into cement? So speaking of diving, what's your diving experience in the?
So, like I talked about earlier, I don't like diving that much so much anymore.
No, you say you don't like swimming.
No, I don't like swimming either. I like surfing. I like free diving, where you hold your breath and you go down and hunt for fish. So it's just another way to hunt, gather food, and it's a skill set. And it's hard to like hold your breath underwater, and you're like, I like to say I have micro lungs. Like I can't hold my breath that long. I have held my breath for 4 minutes.
Well, fudge.
But it was under a very
big woman, huh?
A very big woman. It was a very controlled environment where we're practicing free diving, and the Navy paid for like the best free divers in the world to come out and teach us how to do it. And so we just had our face in the water, and with our mask on, and you have a buddy watching you, and your hands are on the side of the pool, and there's a guy like it was super zen and like, but. You know, he's trying to be like calm and like, so a 4 minute breath hold static is equal to a 2 minute working breath hold. So what we were working up to is swimming down to 120 feet, touch a plate, and then swim back to the surface. And so as I'm like at like a minute and a half, I'm already like, but I just did that for the next 3.5 minutes or 2.5 minutes. But it was miserable. And then what was actually worse than that was the 2 minute exhalation breath hold. So you take a deep breath and then you blow it out. And then you hold your breath for 2 minutes. That was harder than a 4 minute breath hold.
Yeah.
But it was like, you can totally do it. Anyone can do it was basically what they were showing. And you know, that comes back to that never quit. Like also I'm surrounded by a bunch of badasses that are all doing it with me. So I'm not going to be the first one to like come up and like breathe when everyone else that is maybe junior than me are doing it also. So I'm just like, nope.
So your ego overcame your fear of death.
100%, yes. And generally, like ego is a good thing or it's a bad thing. You just got to know when it's good and when it's bad. So for me, it was good. Because I don't think I would have ever lived that down if I would have quit before anyone else. So I just kept going. And but also the other piece of it is like when you go down, you swim down and you hit that plate and you're coming back up. When I was going down to that 120 foot, you're like super streamlined, you're kicking, you're relaxed, and eventually like gravity really takes over and pulls you down. But and you counting your kicks, it's very like kind of methodical. And I counted my kicks, and I'm like, I should be there by now. I don't know why I'm not there. And then I stopped, and I looked to see how far away the plate was from me, and it was about 10 more feet. I could have turned around and gone back to the surface.
Yeah.
But I was like, nope, I got to touch the plate. That's what I have to do. And so I got completely out of, like, alignment of, like, swimming down, and so I had to, like, kind of turn my body, get back into alignment, used a bunch of oxygen, go down, hit the plate, turn around, and like come back to the surface. And there's an instructor. He's like watching you and filming you, and he's there for safety. And I like, hit the thing, and I'm on my way back, and I'm like, oh my God, I have a long way to go back to the surface. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not. So I gave him and so he like came up closer to me just in case I blacked out on the way to the surface. But yeah, that was super hard. But as far as like diving, goes in the SEAL teams, we use a rebreather, and it's a closed circuit rig. It's 100% O2, and there's a bunch of safety parameters that go along with it. But the way that we get where we're going is you have a compass, a depth gauge, and a watch, and you follow a bearing for a certain amount of time, and then once you hit that bearing at that certain amount of time, you turn and then you go another bearing for a certain amount of time, and then you turn and you go another bearing a certain amount of time to get where you're going. And you have to remember all this stuff in your head, how long for how far, in case something happens to you, get compromised, and the enemy like looks at your notes that you have. Right. That's not cool. But also, you don't really know where you are when you're underwater. Right. You're like, you think you're there, but you don't really know. Like, you didn't know that you can't like feel the current. It's like maybe pushing you off. And so navigating underwater is super complex and very hard, and it sucks. And you could be underwater for up to 4 hours on that rig, breathing 100% O2, and then you're pissed off at your buddy because there's this thing called O2 toxicity, and it makes you like super pissed off.
Oh yeah.
And and there have been many arguments underwater because you have this regulator, this mouthpiece in your mouth. And you can't let any water into the mouthpiece, because if you do, it could flood out your rig. And then, so what you do is you exhale, your CO2 goes into the CO2 scrubber. It looks like kitty litter. And you push out the oxygen, but it keeps the CO2 in this kitty litter. And then it goes into a breathing bag. And then you also have another bottle that adds more CO2. So as you breathe out, there's less O2 in the air that you breathe out. Cleans the CO2, and then and it adds more O2 volume to the breathing bag. It's just a loop. But if you let water into your mouthpiece or into your rig in any way, shape, or form, then it gets into that kitty litter, that CO2 scrubber, and it turns into this acid. And it'll bubble up, and it'll bubble right back into your mouth, and you're like 20 feet, and you start breathing in this acid. It's not a pleasant experience. Now you have to like.
You start hallucinating, or
figure
like
out how to
real
get
acid, or what?
Like you're getting like, it's not that kind of acid. It's the kind that burns your mouth. So you're like, shit. You have to you practice all these contingencies. Like, what if this happens? These emergency procedures. What if your buddy like passes out underwater? What if So you practice all these sort of emergency procedures.
You're like, I'm pissed at him. Fuck him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, one of the things that happens is you for sure are like you're either swimming too fast or you're swimming too slow, or you don't know where you are, and your buddy's like, what the fuck, and you're just like cussing at one another underwater, under a ship. You can't see, it's total darkness. And so that's kind of what combat diving is all about. It's not sexy. You're not looking at the beautiful coral reef. You're like you're looking at a compass and a depth gauge and a watch. You
ever get attacked by anything besides your swim buddy, like a swordfish or a jellyfish?
I have not. I've never seen a shark. I've never seen, at least they could have been there. I know they were there because other guys that were diving in the same area. I know in Puerto Rico, there was, we were on a dive at night, and 4 different swim pair on the same dive. We're all on the same dive. Said a 10-foot hammerhead swam right in front of them. I would have been shitting myself. But I did see in buds, because I don't like swimming. I do it, and I'm always afraid that a shark is going to eat me any moment. And so that's just a fear I have to just deal with. But when you swim in a combat side stroke. You're facing your swim buddy as you swim. One guy's facing this way, one guy's facing this way. And I came up to breathe, and I looked, and there was a dorsal fin right behind my buddy. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh. And I grabbed him. I was like, dude, shark. And actually, it was a pod of dolphins. They were like swimming right between us. Wow. They were like right. I was like, holy, that was cool. I was scared, and now I'm like impressed. There's dolphins around, so I don't feel like there's going to be any sharks. So we continued on.
I'm in love. Yeah. Dolphins.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was a big dorsal fin too. It was no joke.
Friend to foe.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I was out on the island of Guam at one occasion, and a number of the Navy SEAL guys took me out snorkeling. And as I'm out there, you could, it's such clearness. You could just see for quite a ways. But in the back of my mind, I kept hearing that little tune, don't.
100%.
Don't. I'm thinking they're going to bypass, all these sharks are going to bypass all these military personnel, right? Because they were only about 150 to about 170 pounds. I'm thinking, and they're looking at the buffet here.
Yeah, they get bellyache. They get bellyache on you.
Well, They'll be bringing me over as leftovers,
right.
with
and,
leftovers.
And we would always joke about like, oh, if the shark comes along, you stab your buddy and you swim away.
Yeah. Speaking of stabbing, I gotta go take a leak. I got pee. I gotta pee.
Hydrate, baby.
Well, he's gone. Let's continue here.
Let's do it.
Well, if you don't mind.
So let's just. I'll tell you a quick shark story. So out in San Clemente Island. So the third phase of BUDS is land warfare, and we were out there in San Clemente, and you fly in, and the first thing that they do. By the way, San Clemente is the third largest breeding ground for great white sharks. Just FYI, and so. We come in, we unload,
okay.
we put all of our stuff away, and we're living on the island for the next 4 weeks. So you put everything away. It's getting dark. We go into the classroom, and they show us like an hour-long video of Shark Week from the Discovery Channel about great whites and San Clemente Island and all this other stuff, and like sharks hitting. And so
all before you head out.
Right. Well, we're on the island, and then it's nighttime, and they're like, okay. All right, in the classroom, and they give us this whole big, brief all about sharks. Then we watch like the video of like, sharks coming out of the water and hitting these seals and all this other stuff. And then they're like, the movie was over. They're like, all right, go get your swim gear. Be on the beach in 15 minutes. And we're like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not getting in the water.
What did we just watch?
Yeah, exactly. And you're swimming with, so we did like a mile swim, and I think it's the fastest as any of us ever swam before in our life. And what made it worse is we had to wear chem lights, like little glow sticks on our. So you always swim with a life jacket. Like if your buddy, goes tits up, you'd pull this inflatable CO2 cartridge, and it inflates in his life jacket, so you can like tow him to safety. Or if he gets eaten by a shark, you can like blow it up and like let him whatever. But now you've got
go
this
back
like,
whatever's left.
right? And I'm sure there was something in the video about like. Sharks hunt at night, and they see like shiny objects, and that attracts them, and light and whatever. And now we have these glow sticks on, and that was not cool, by the way. So yeah. Anyway, they're like, get in the water, and all right, we're do a swim out to that buoy, and then come back. And dude, all of us fast. I don't think we even like barely touched the water. We're like, oh, done. Okay, that was all right. Hopefully we don't ever have to do that again.
You guys were being like Jesus there, walking on water.
Right. Yeah, it was. I don't think it was far from that. It was like, you're in the water. All right, let's get in and get out. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think. Again, that's the only thing I said earlier, that not being involved in the military. That's probably the only thing from my life that I haven't really done right there. But that's being organized and just doing what other people won't do. That's right. Been a great part of my life. So same way with Mr. Frye there. It's I think that's how people become successful in almost anything that they look to do. I know we were talking a little bit before. I don't know if we were actually recording at that point in time, but you said that the beard has been something relatively new to your appearance here. So right. How new has it been? And
yeah, so I had no intention of growing a beard when I retired from the military. So in the military, you unless you're doing a special mission, and in Afghanistan we could grow beards because part of
if you want to blend in with the locals.
Yeah, so part of the culture there is like if you have a thick, heavy beard, then that means you're more of a man. Like if you have a skinny little scraggly beard,
right,
you're not very manly. And so much that on my first deployment to Afghanistan. The guy that was in charge of us, he couldn't really grow much facial hair. And so the guy that was like two ranks lower than him would always go up and talk to the village elders, because he was like, he had like this massive like man beard, and so he just had more street cred because he had more of a beard. And other than that, I never really had any intention of growing a beard ever. But my daughter, who in Hawaii, who's 8, I think she was 6 back then. She was like, Dad, I want you to grow a beard so I can practice braiding on your beard. And I was like, well, that's going to take a little while for me to grow it out. I've never grown it out quite that long. Once it gets too shaggy, I trim it back. But she's certainly she's just started trying to braid it. But actually, 2 weeks ago, she was like, "Your beard, we need to clean it up." And so she took her like first grade, second grade scissors with the round nose. And she sat in my lap, and she just like went to work and just started trimming away. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like terrified. I'm like, maybe I have to shave this thing off and start all over again. Wait, I have a podcast coming up out here in Arizona. So I had to like put the brakes on her a little bit. I'm like, hold on. Let's go look in the mirror. But she actually did a pretty good job. She's like, I like it when it's like at a V at the bottom. And so I had like this little V down here at the bottom. It wasn't
the old Van Dyke.
I'm trying to think what cartoon character or something like that would come down with a V or something.
I don't know. She's like, I like it as a V. I'm like, okay, we'll roll with that. Don't cut it all. I like it now. I didn't had no intention of ever growing it. And now I'm like, I see pictures of myself without a beard, and I'm like, who is that? I don't recognize that person.
It's a good thing you grew it. It breaks up the monotony in your face.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because when you're rocking this head of hair, you don't need much more.
No, it's scary.
Right.
Frightening, huh?
Don, I'm surprised how Quinn has been so quiet there. I mean, you haven't brought on your star.
She's been taking a nap.
She was napping earlier. Yeah.
She's been taking a nap. It was a little hot out here, and she got out in the sun a little bit too much, and
recovery.
Now she's having chips.
You got to get that salt intake back up. Is that what it is?
Well, hell, these must be saltless chips. Jeez. It must be like you. They charge extra for salt. So.
Well, I thought you were going to say because you get those day-old chips a whole lot cheaper, something like that.
Just a little stale, not super stale, just a little stale.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah, not quite as crunchy. Well, Will, I mean, are you married or children or anything of that nature? Or?
Yeah, so I've been married twice.
Okay, we said that.
We said that earlier.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we did talk about that with your son and that. Okay, 11th to 12th grade.
That's okay, Dan. We know how old you are.
I know. Again, I'm having one of those senior moments here, aren't I?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Every now and then it happens to all of us.
Not me. I'm perfect.
We won't go down that rabbit hole at all.
What are you laughing about?
Wait a minute.
That's a pretty slippery slope there. Well, I mean, let's talk about your CBD then.
All right. Yeah. So I started. So
I mean, we all there on the table. So
I'm trying to think about how to start talking about it. So the reason that I started CBD is a CBD company called Naked Warrior Recovery. The name Naked Warrior is from the predecessor of today's Navy SEAL. They were known as Naked Warriors. They were underwater demolition team guys. And kind of the history behind it, where they came from, is if you've ever seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, they're at Normandy. That big invasion that happens on the beach. Prior to that invasion, the Navy went out on D-Day, exactly. Prior to that invasion, the Navy went out and they found a bunch of guys that were good at demolitions and they could swim. And what they had them do is they were on the big, these big ships out in the ocean or out in the water. They got in these little rubber boats. They drove about 500 yards off the beach. The guys got in the water. They swim to shore. They took they did a reconnaissance. So they took notes about like fighting positions, what obstacles were on the beach, how lanes of assault that they should find or take back or even prepare, because there were all these obstacles on the beach. Then they got back in the water and they measured the depth of the water. So they with a piece of string that had knots every 6 feet with a piece of lead at the end. And what they would do is they would measure the depth of the water. Like they would spread out about 25 yards apart, measure the depth of the water. And once everyone had the depth of the water, they would mark it down on a slate. And then they would dive underwater, swim about 25 yards looking for obstacles underwater, and then come up. And then if there was an obstacle, they'd mark it. And they would do 3,000 to 5,000 yards of beach a night. And then they would take that intel back to the ship and make a chart. So they used that intel from those guys going ashore to create basically the plan of assault for Normandy. And then hours before the actual assault, these guys went back in. They put demolition charges on obstacles on the beaches. They set up, these lanes of assault. They cleared obstacles in the water. So they put demo charges on everything, and then they pulled back off. And as the Saving Private Ryan, dun 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 dun, like Don's ringtone, dun 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 dun, starts rolling in. They blew the charges, and then they basically they cleared the way. And then the Navy decommissioned the team. And then there was this island campaign in the Pacific where my grandfather was driving Marines onto the beaches, and the Marines are running off. They're hitting these barrier reefs. They're running off. They think they're in 3 feet of water, and they run off and they drown in 30 feet of water. So the Navy recommissioned these teams to come back out, and they did more, these hydrographic reconnaissance. And they did it, basically wearing, some shorty shorts, a K-bar knife, a slate around their neck, and a mask and fins. And so they were called the Naked Warrior. And then they, they started, focusing on
slate. Is that what they wrote
on? It's like a piece of plexiglass.
Yeah.
Like a rectangle piece of plexiglass, and it had boxes scored on it. So each person, depending where they were, they, would mark, the first lane is where everyone started, and then if you were number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 10, your slate is marked. You knew where you were, and so they could take that data and put it onto a chart, and they could sort of turn it into a big picture.
Right. And
then so if there was if everyone is seeing where the reef starts and where it ends, then the guys know where to go back in and put the demo charges and blow the obstacles out of the water. And so, after World War II was over, the teams stayed, but they called them underwater demolition team because that's a lot of what they did. They blew up obstacles underwater. Then Vietnam kicked off, and these guys started doing operations on land, but most of their insertion came from the river. And so they became known as frogmen, and they became known as the men with green faces. And in 1962, JFK changed them from underwater demolition team to U.S. Navy SEALs. And so the Naked Warrior is about the heritage of being a SEAL. The other part of Naked Warrior is like what I talked about earlier about taking your ego off and getting naked and being a little bit vulnerable, exposing yourself. Mm-hmm. And part of that was I got some baggage. 26 years in the SEAL teams. I got some toxic relationships that we've kind of talked about earlier, and so part of my sort of recovery and getting rid of some of the baggage was some of it. It was like mindset. I had to kind of get rid of my ego and sort of go through that process. But one of the modalities that helped me get there was CBD. So Ray actually gave me my first bottle of CBD. And because I was in Virginia, I was having lunch with Ray.
Ray was your dealer.
He was my exactly.
That figures.
And he gave me my first free sample.
Yeah,
that's kind of how that works, I believe. And so I took it that because I was like Ray after I hadn't seen Ray in years, and.
Because he was doing time for the last time he was pushing.
Exactly, yeah. And so I'm like, hey Ray, I'm gonna go find some CBD because I think that'll be good for me. And I think what you have in Virginia is better than what we have in Hawaii. So he's like, you want CBD? I've got some back at the house. So he gave me my first bottle, and maybe that night I slept a little bit better, and maybe I was a little less pissed off the next morning. And what I like to say is water boils at 212 degrees. And I was probably living at 210 degrees. So my fuse was super short. It didn't take much, many triggers to send me over the edge. But what I noticed after taking CBD for that first bottle, I didn't notice anything really on a daily basis. But what I noticed over time was after that 30 days, however long that bottle lasted, I was I went from 210 degrees to 205 to 200 to 190 to maybe 185. And then, something else I noticed was all these aches and pains and injuries that I have from 26 years of service. the pain is still there. The injuries are still there. It's just less bad. Like, it's not stabbing me as badly as it used to. So those pains were just less bad, less inflammation. It helped me to drink less, helped me to like kind of calm my brain so that I could have good positive self-talk. And so that I could come up with the get naked mindset. And then I stopped taking CBD because I ran out. And then like I started moving back closer to that boiling point. And then I tried another brand of CBD, and I, started getting further away from that boiling point. I was like, well, maybe there's something to this. I happened to be at a business conference that Ray was speaking at. So Ray was really kind of the foundation, and I probably don't give him enough credit for like helping me like get down this road. But Ray was a keynote speaker, so I got to go to this thing for free that was like a $5,000 to show up event. And I met someone in the CBD industry. I was super interested in it, and I wanted to. And I really kind of wanted to work for her because I was like I was failing as a consultant, with what I had started, trying to figure out what my why was, why I'm doing this. Yes, I want to make a bunch of money, but I'm not doing a great job at making a lot of money right now. I've made some, but not really enough to sustain a lifestyle of any sort. And so I met this girl in the CBD industry, and she's like, "You want to do B2B, B2C, A to B?" I'm like, "I don't even know the letters that you're saying to me. I want to do CBD. How about that?" And so she's like, "Well, why don't you start your own CBD company?" And I'm like, "I don't know how to do that." She's like, "You're a Navy SEAL. Go figure it out." And I was like,
Oh, wow.
Oh, bitch slapped you, huh?
All right. Yeah, she pretty much pulled my man card, and so I started doing. I'm like, okay, well, if you believe in me, then I was not that you just totally called me a wuss, but pretty much what happened. So I started, kind of digging into the CBD industry, and I found like it's a pretty dirty industry. It's brand new. CBD was illegal up until December 20th of 2018, after the signing of the Farm Bill. After that, CBD became very popular, and you can find CBD shops and at gas stations, and it's everywhere. Super saturated market. And the FDA has actually gone out and done a ton of spot checks on companies, and they found that like 70% of the companies out there either don't have CBD in their product, have high levels of THC in their product, don't have the CBD they say they have in there. They have high levels of heavy metals, mercury, arsenic, solvents, things like that, because people are just out there. Let's get rich quick. And someone asked me once upon a time, what's the difference between your CBD and the CBD I can get at the gas station? And this wasn't my response, but I use it now. It was someone standing next to me after I kind of explained like how thorough we are in like third-party testing and things like that. They're like, "Oh, what's the difference between buying sushi at the gas station and getting sushi from a sushi house? Like, do you really want to roll the bones with like gas station sushi? Do you really want to roll the bones with gas station CBD?" And really, it's true when you look at like the trash that's out there in the market. Now, there's good companies out there. There's some good companies. But for the most part, there's a lot of trash out there. And so what we're focusing on at Naked Warrior Recovery is there's still a stigma about THC. And so I went out and found the highest quality suppliers that I could find. And so we focus on mostly a broad spectrum product. So we still maintain the minor cannabinoids and terpenes from the hemp plant. But we removed the THC because there are people that are concerned about THC. I'm a child of Nancy Reagan's War on Drugs, Just Say No. And there's people that are concerned about, drug testing through their work, veterans, government employees, truck drivers, things like that. And so
Navy SEALs.
So we make sure that we maintain the minor cannabinoid and terpene profile of the CBD oil that is extracted, but we extract the THC from that oil just to make sure, just to give people peace of mind.
So what do you do with the leftover THC?
Well, I can't talk about that.
Oh, okay. I fucking finally asked a question and you won't answer. That's it. I quit. I've had enough shit.
Never quit.
Well,
Get naked.
Expose myself.
Where's all this manufacturing that taking place? Well, I mean, we're what state or what city?
He can't answer that.
You can't.
It's out of Colorado. So there's some manufacturing that happens in Oh, shit, I forgot.
Oh, man. How disappointing.
Yeah, but okay, just to re-verify what you're talking about right now, because product that does not contain THC is allowed to travel across state borders, but if it has THC into it, it has to be grown, manufactured, and sold inside that state. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
No,
that's
no.
the way
If it has 0.3% or less, so the difference
Okay.
between hemp and marijuana is if the plant has 0.3% or less THC in it, then it's considered hemp. If it has greater than 0.3%, it's considered marijuana. It's the same plant. It's just how
Right.
it's bred. And so, hemp.
They turn hemp into ropes.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and it's been used as a medicine for thousands of years.
Right.
Like if you look at history, there, the tombs in Egypt have found like cannabis plants in them. There's, some biblical mentions of it. So it's been out there for thousands of years. It's been used as a medicine, kind of like a cure-all. And I don't know that we want to go into like the science of it, like how it works with the body, but it's an anti-inflammatory. It supports your endocannabinoid system, which is a giant neuroreceptor that's connected to every other system in your body. And basically what it does is if one system is out of whack, it can pull all the other systems out of whack. And people are like, oh, CBD, it like cured my whatever. And they're like, CBD is not curing anything. What it does is it supports your endocannabinoid system. It's like a super multivitamin. And when that system gets pulled back into homeostasis, that helps your other systems work the way they're supposed to, and your body just sort of heals itself.
Yeah.
That's the bro science. I'm not a medical professional, but
So why'd you get into this?
because it helped me drink less. It helped my pain go away, and it had such a positive impact on my life. I thought I should help bring it to other people, like veterans, first responders, people who are of service that are like suffering through whatever traumas that they're experiencing. Like maybe CBD can help them.
What injuries did you have?
Let's see.
Hell, yeah.
According
Well, held on. He got shot when he was hunting with his grandfather alone.
according
Pay
to
attention.
That was
Pay
a long
attention.
time ago.
according to the VA, I'm 100% disabled through the VA, which really means if you do VA math, that means I'm more than 250% disabled. If you like add everything up directly, it's fuzzy math. But if you add everything up, like each injury that I have claimed for, like I have no cartilage in my knees. I have, lower back. I don't even know the medical terms for it, but back issues. I got shoulder issues. I got this bicep that I tore once upon a time that doesn't really work that well.
Yeah.
I got shoulder stuff. I got this collarbone isn't connected anymore. I got a few. I got some head trauma. I got some other stuff.
Well, that's obvious. We can see that. You're a born ugly kid, and you're going to say it that way.
I ain't smart, and I ain't pretty, so batting 1,000 so far.
Yeah, back in the 80s, they cut off the end of both my clavicles, because I had bad shoulders, and that's what they did back then.
Yeah.
Oh, bad shoulders.
Let's
chop it off. Worse.
Let's chop it off. Yeah.
Well, completely disconnected from the rest of
Right.
your body. Made no sense at all. What are you doing?
Well, let's get back onto your CBD products then. Okay, I know that is yours derived from the hemp plant, or is it derived from marijuana? Because there's a big difference between the two different plants.
It's all derived from the hemp plant. There's 3 farms that we use. There's one in Oregon, one in Colorado, and one in Kentucky, which is where we get the oil from. All the oil is USDA certified organic. Not all of the products are USDA certified organic, only because to have that green stamp of approval, all like 95%, I think, of the ingredients that go into the oil. So like the gummies, those are not USDA certified organic because some of the ingredients in there don't meet that certified USDA certified organic. All of the tinctures, the soft gels are not, because of the gelatin that make the capsule is not USDA certified organic, but some of the topicals are USDA certified organic. The oil that goes into that is USDA certified organic. Just some of the products that come out are not. And the reason that you want to have good dirt, like a good organic practiced farm is because, hemp is a bioaccumulator, which means it pulls all the good stuff out of the soil, but it pulls all the trash out of the soil. And it's such a powerful bioaccumulator that they're using hemp at Chernobyl to clean the radiation out of the soil. China uses hemp to clean the shit out of the soil over there. And so you don't want to be putting, and all that stuff goes into the oil of the plant. So you don't want to have Chernobyl hemp as part of your CBD regimen. I mean, maybe it'll make you super strong or like a mutant or something, but X-Men. But
you glow at night. Yeah, that's what the big thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Severn would trade that to get a cheaper price on it.
Now, Mr. Frye, you've crossed the line right now.
Yeah, really? Tell me what.
I knew all about what he was talking about there. I mean, it's the hemp plant again. Many multiple uses of the hemp plant. Everything from clothes to bricks to moiter to all kinds of cool things you can do with hemp.
Did you say moiter? Did you say moiter?
Yeah. Okay. Then.
Moiter.
Yeah.
It's his Boston accent kicking in.
Cut him off over there. Cut him off. Okay.
Hey man, it's my hemp, dude. It's okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. What's with the greens?
So because CBD it's very difficult to market. Like I can't run Facebook ads or anything else for CBD. I found some other way. I wanted to find other ways to have a badass product that could provide benefits and health things. So most of us don't have enough greens in our diet. So I went out and partnered with some manufacturers, and we came up with some super greens. Most greens on the market taste like dirt and lawn clippings, but these are what I've been told, they're surprisingly not terrible. I like them. That's why I sell them, because I like them and they're good for me. And I do like fasting every now and then. And when I do fasting, all I'll drink is the super greens, the CBD energy drink that we have, and black coffee. So I'll do 3 or 5 day fasts using that, just to have micronutrients in the system, so the system doesn't crash.
So just one of those packets inside of a bottle of water that you have in front of you.
Yeah. So you can do it anywhere. Some people mix the two together, where they'll use it after lunch, your midday kind of crash, and they'll use those two together and get a little boost of energy to carry on through the rest of the day. Because it's also a little. So I've also had customers reach out to me and say, "Hey, my wife got off of Adderall using these energy drinks. It's not medical advice." But she's like, I don't have to use Adderall anymore using these energy drinks, and I still get the focus from that I do from Adderall, but I get it from this, and I don't have jitters at the end of the day. And I've had tons
your
of
energy
people.
drink. How long does that typically last for? If you consume one of those packets, does it say it's good for 8 hours, 6 hours, or 4 hours?
No, because it's 75 milligrams of caffeine and 12.5 milligrams of CBD. And everyone processes those things different. They process CBD differently. They process caffeine differently. The way I generally use it, and I drink it every day, is I have a half-gallon jug that I fill up with ice and water, and I put one of these in it. And I do that twice a day. And so I just have sustained energy throughout the day. I drink it throughout my workout. I never feel or if I have a workout and I'm just smoked at the end of it, I have one of these and I'm back up. And I don't have that pre-workout drink, skin crawling kind of effect. You just feel good and focused. You never really crash off of it.
But you're drinking a gallon of water basically a day.
I drink.
Sounds like at least at a minimum.
That's just what I do, because I want to drink at least a gallon of water a day. But water's boring. I don't know how
there's a shark in it.
I don't know how bodybuilders just walking around with gallon jugs of water all the time. I'm dude, that's boring. So let's jive.
Maybe they've got that missing THC in it that you don't tell us about.
It's that liquid THC that we extracted. That just gets discarded.
Yeah, sure it does.
Yeah. All right. Well, when do you? Okay, you're doing your this gallon of liquid throughout the course of your entire day. You're
Right.
saying half gallon at a shot that you're doing. When do you induce the CBD in your body? Do you do that in the morning? Do you do this after workouts or prior to workouts? What do you do for you?
What I do, I generally have like a soft gel in the morning, like one of these, or a tincture, like just under your tongue, in the morning. Okay. And I do the CBD energy drink throughout the day. And then at night I have a sleep formula, and it's got 25 milligrams of CBD, 5 milligrams of CBN, which is another minor cannabinoid, and 5 milligrams of melatonin, just to like put me down and go to sleep at night. Like I still like. Does
that work good well on you?
I generally take 1 or 2 a night, and it works really well. Before we added the CBN, I could push through I get tired and I'm like, I don't feel like going to bed yet. I'm working on something. I could push through that. With the CBN in it, I cannot push through it. I'm like, I can push through, but I don't ever like get that second wind. I'm like still tired and I'm still going down. So just take your ass to bed and go to sleep. That's what you need to do, is sleep. So.
I'm interested in that because I do have my better half that has some sleep issues, and so I'm thinking that's why I'm thinking, I have offered the pillow a few times, but she's she doesn't think that's very nice.
Get a bigger hammer. She's not there, is she?
Yeah.
She's got earmuffs on.
Just remember, I'm too close in proximity here right now. Okay, Big Brother is watching and listening.
I heard her back there.
So let's see. Let's get back to the sharks in the water.
Yeah.
I do have a shark story though.
Oh, well, go. I'll let you do your shark story here first.
So surfing in Hawaii, I met a bunch of buddies at there's a reef right off of the airport, the runway. It's called Runway Reef, and the reef is about a mile out to sea. And so I'm on a stand-up paddleboard. I'm paddling out there, and there's a guy in front of me. I'm watching him. The sun isn't even up yet, but the sky is lit up, so it's a pink sky, and there's enough light around. And I'm like paddling. The water's a little churny, and I don't know how big the waves are out there. But I'm paddling. I'm watching the guy in front of me, kind of seeing where he's going, and then I see something out of the corner of my eye, and I look, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, that's a shark!" And that dude, he cruises right in front of me, like big old dorsal fin, right? Like I could have touched him with my paddle, and he goes away.
He pussy went in you.
I'm like, why don't you stay over there? So then I go out, I surf, like the waves. I've never been in waves this big. This is the biggest waves I've ever been in my life. And like there's a channel marker, big green buoy in the water. And it's just like going up and it goes into free fall as the waves are coming in. And I'm like, whoo, big waves. Okay. So I caught some waves. I didn't wipe out too much. I lived. And I'm out of sync with all the other guys that are out there. And I'm paddling back out. I'm going to catch one more wave and then go in. And like there's no one else out there. So
because there's a shark in the water.
Well, they didn't know the shark was in the water. There was just time to go to work. So I'm paddling out and I'm getting ready to. So a wave is coming. I'm in the channel where the waves should not be breaking. Like it's deep water. Waves usually break when it's like a swell and then it hits a reef and then it gets bigger. Well, this wave was so big that it was breaking in the channel, and I kind of got tossed off my board and. My board tugged on my leg. I have a leash around my ankle. It pulled, and then it let go. And I was like, that was weird. I don't remember it being quite like that the last time this happened to me. And then I went to like pull my board back to me, and there was nothing on the end of the leash. And I was
except for a bite mark.
Are you kidding me? And so, yeah, I'm a mile out to sea. I just saw a shark like an hour and a half ago, maybe an hour ago, like right over there. And now I have a paddle in my hand and now I have to like swim back to shore. That was not with some of the biggest waves I've ever been in my life. So that was quite an experience. So I started swimming back and then some guy, he's laughing at me. He's on this giant board. He's like, ha ha ha, I saw your board go that way. I'm like, bro, you couldn't help a brother out? What's going on? And he's out there with like a life jacket on and a helmet, and like he really has no business being out there in the first place. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Severn would have fought that shark for his deposit back.
And so I start swimming towards, you know, I got a mile to go, so let's just start now. No, you can't sit around and feel sorry for yourself out there in the middle of the ocean. And so I'm swimming in, and the guy's like, hey, you want to sit on the front of my board? I put my daughter on the front of my board. And he was like, you want to, and we'll paddle you in. I'm like, I'm not going to turn down a free ride.
Sure, big boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I sit on your lap later? Yeah. And so I get up on his board, and I'm like, I'm right. He's wrong, but whatever. It's a free ride. And then I look back, and I see this wave like coming down on us. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's going to be quite the ride this time. And we ride it for a little while, and I'm just like hanging on to the board, and it's total chaos. And then we wipe out, and, you know,
he's leaning left, you're leaning right.
Yard sail. And then we, you know, we get back on and start paddling in some more. And then another guy was paddling out, and he like went and got my board and brought it to me. But yeah, like, I'm like, I do not want to be in the water anymore. I'm done for the day. Yeah. Lost my board, giant waves, shark, monk seal, get out.
Head to right on the front of the board.
I'm ready. I'm sitting on the front of the board like I'm a hood ornament or someone's 8-year-old daughter. I don't know what. And yeah, I'm like, I'm not a 100-pound little girl. I'm a 200-pound man. But whatever, I'll sit on
you are.
I'll sit on the front of your board.
Yeah, you got on the front of the board real fast.
Right. my masculinity went down really quickly right there, but whatever.
Yeah, you see a shark, that'll happen. Yes, I will take that ride now.
Wherever you want me to sit.
I'll put the flowers in my hair. Whatever you want, man. Get me out of the ocean.
I'm ready to go today. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was my I think the closest encounter that I know that I had with a shark. I'm sure that I've been closer to sharks. I just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I don't need to know.
I'm intrigued by it. I mean, well, again, you don't know this really about me that well, but I mean, I've also been utilizing some of the CBD products there in the past as well, because, you know, just for some pain and just for, you know, a little bit better sleep, things of that nature. So I think that CBD is a very it's a great product, especially if you can get it from good sources, like what you were saying there as well. So I'm a big advocate of anything that can help, especially if it's a natural product. And what you talked about there in a cannabinoid system, you know, a lot of people get on it. It's really good for. It just matches up. It's almost scary when you look at some of the terminology that they use in the science of manufacturing CBD, and then you realize you got the exact same things inside your body itself.
Right.
So
you make natural endogenous cannabinoids. So I'm not over by the mic. I can't. Yeah. Sorry, I failed.
No.
I failed right there.
That's why I really want people to understand that there's all kinds of CBD products out there. Just like you said, good, bad, and different. It really boils down to the integrity of the company and what you're looking for to get out of it. So,
and I would say if you're going to buy CBD, you should buy it from a company that has, you know, all of our products have a QR code on the back, so you can see the test results. Test results should also be on the website, in my humble opinion, just so you can see what you're actually putting in your body. Because right now it's completely unregulated, and like I said earlier, like there's a lot of bad actors out there in the industry. So I would just make sure that you have a high quality product that is definitely third party tested.
All right, so 73 grams of caffeine is what you said.
75 milligrams of caffeine.
How much?
It's like a cup of coffee. That's about
just one cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. I've been. You're talking about drinking that one a day. I'm putting 2 in my drink every couple hours.
Yeah. Will, tell us about some of your social media outlets. I mean, if people want to learn more about get naked. They want to know more about your.
I got a couple websites
CBD
out
products.
there. So I got a couple websites out there. The one I mentioned earlier was 5 Seal Secrets. So the number 5, sealsecrets.com, all one word. And so that's just going to give you a PDF, and it's about 7 or 8 pages of really breaking down what Get Naked is. So that's one piece. If you want to, check out the CBD products, go to nw-recovery.com. NW stands for Naked Warrior. You could also write in Naked Warrior Recovery, but I made that my original website, and then I thought, well, maybe some people might not want to put naked in their search engine, so I was like, oh, maybe we should make it NW-recovery. So we did that, and so but either one of those will get you there. And because people, I don't know what people have been searching on their thing, and if you write in naked,
all kinds of weird
something
things
else might pop up.
your significant other, you're at work, I don't know. And then I also have an an apparel line. You can get your Get Naked shirt at, you can get to it from Naked Warrior Recovery from the CBD site, but the apparel site is Naked Warrior. You got to write in naked for that one. It's nakedwarriorapparel.com. I haven't typed that one in for a long time. It's just on my browser, so I just go click on it.
Oh, naked's on your browser, huh?
As a matter of fact,
Let me make excuses here. Well, I was searching my own engine, and naked popped up.
Because who doesn't like to get naked?
Yes.
And then I guess on social media, I have all of them. I think I'm not 100% sure. The only one I really focus on, like Facebook, has shut me down a bunch of times because I don't know why. Because I
hurt their feelings.
I sell an illegal product according to them.
Yes.
And
I think it's because of your American can-do spirit. I think
potentially
it
could be that as well.
You've got too much testosterone, I believe.
But my Instagram is where I spend most of my time and effort. Is Naked Warrior Recovery is where to find me on Instagram. I've got a Facebook. I don't even know what it is. Probably Naked Warrior Recovery. I'm not 100% sure. I think I've got a Twitter thing. I think that's Naked Warrior. I don't do anything on those platforms, but I have those. I have it. I have an account.
Yeah.
I can't do all the social media stuff. I like to keep it simple. So I like to get naked.
Well, that's what your daughter's for.
It's too much.
Your daughter will run your account.
She's not quite old enough
you.
yet, but at some point she will be.
Yeah, she'll run your account. Yes, mine did.
Right?
Till they get mad at me, which happens quite frequently.
What are you gonna do?
That's what kids are supposed to do, right?
Yeah,
supposed to get mad at their parents.
Yeah, exactly.
What, they got to divorce their parents at a certain time, so that they become their own people.
Cut the umbilical.
Cut the umbilical. So did you karate chop the umbilical?
I pulled out my bench spade and cut it.
Do you do any martial arts?
I have. So I wanted to do martial arts as a kid, but my dad didn't want me to do them because he thought I would use them on my sister. He was probably right. I didn't really get into any martial arts until after I graduated SEAL training, and the only real reason I did is a buddy of mine who I went to Buds with, who taught me how to shoot. Like, I learned how to shoot like a pistol. I could shoot a rifle well. I didn't have the points of performance to shoot a pistol until after I graduated SEAL training. But he also was big into stick and knife fighting, Filipino martial arts.
Yeah, Filipino. Yeah.
He was big into jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and he did like some security work prior to joining the Navy. He was like 36 years old when he went through Buds. Like, he was one of the oldest.
Damn.
Maybe 32. Like, he's certainly struggled.
Yeah.
And but
he made it.
He made it.
Wow.
He didn't quit. He just kept going. And so he taught me a little bit of like stick and knife stuff, and I was like, I want to do that. And so when I went to Virginia, I went and found an academy that taught some stick and knife stuff, and then that was only like a little piece of it. They also taught some Muay Thai, so I joined, started taking Muay Thai, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize I didn't know how to fight until I started. Like, I couldn't fight my way out of a wet paper bag, most likely. I mean, I took some Taekwondo also, and I like that because I was like, I want to be a ninja one day. So I'm still working on that part. But I took some Muay Thai, and they also had jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I don't need to know that. I'll just stand and fight, and I'm okay in that.
Right.
And then a buddy of mine, he's like, that was doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. We started about the same time. He's like, dude, come on over here to the Jiu-Jitsu side. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need it. Like we do some of the self-defense stuff, and we kind of do some arm bars.
Nobody will take me down.
Yeah, I'm totally good. And then I think I got beat a couple times by a girl, and I was like, all right, maybe there's something to this. I don't really know. So yeah. So I still do jiu-jitsu occasionally. I'm not as active as I'd like to be. It took me 10 years to get my blue belt because I started and then I deployed and then I would do it intermittently. I got married and she was adamant that I wanted to spend more time doing jiu-jitsu than I wanted to spend with her. But meanwhile, she would go to her own martial arts classes, and so whatever.
She was. Yes.
Yeah. So that was in the past.
She was doing jiu-jitsu with her own trainer, huh?
Something like that, maybe. Potentially. Yeah. There's no proof or evidence.
Yeah.
But so it took me 10 years to get my blue belt, and that was about 10 years ago. So I need to get back after it. I still, if there's like a seminar or something, I'll go to a seminar. And then just as I was about to, I wanted to get involved in a new school, COVID hit. So potentially in the next few months, I'll get back into it and keep training.
Yeah, but it sounds like you got a pretty busy life, though. Nevertheless,
a little busy. I mean, the last time I trained for like an extended period of time, I was in Florida, going to it was a senior enlisted academy. So as in the military, as you go up in rank, they'll send you off to these schools. And so I was in Tampa for about 3 months, and I found a school there. And at night, I would just go there every night and train and get a little bit better and learn some tricks and some new skills. And
yeah, so that's the name of the strip bar down there, the Jiu-Jitsu Club.
The Jiu-Jitsu Club, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Get Naked Strip Club.
Honey, I'm going to the Jiu-Jitsu Club tonight. Can I borrow $100?
Right. Can I have 100 ones, please?
Oh, singles. Yeah, there you go.
She says, yeah, I happen to have that right here.
Right here. Here you go. Yeah.
Wait a second.
But my daughter was taking jiu-jitsu, so that was very cool.
Yeah.
And so I still train with her. I still wrestle around with her. Like I'll put her in a rear naked choke all the time and make her fight out of it. Because I want her to be able to defend herself. You fight. Let's go. It's on.
Yeah. Well, at what age did you start her into the jiu-jitsu program?
Either 5 or 6 years old.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's usually when I start kids in amateur wrestling. They're mature enough, they understand things more. Because in the United States, you can actually start competing competitively at 4.
Wow.
And you've got some parents that are bringing in these 3-year-olds that they're not even potty trained here yet.
Right.
And I don't believe in starting them that young. It's just let them be kids for a little while. Then when they hit 5, start implementing a few things.
Make it fun.
Ease them into it.
So it was a funny story. I grew up in Mississippi. The only wrestling that I knew about was WWF.
Yeah.
and then I'm in the Navy. I'm going to my technical school after boot camp, because in the Navy you have to go to a technical school, like a Navy job school, before you can continue on, because that's how you advance. And there were all these guys in my school that wanted to go be Navy SEALs, and they would come out and I'm like, in their wrestling shoes, and they're going for a run. I'm like, dude, what kind of shoes are those? Those are wrestling shoes. I'm like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, and that's the only wrestling I knew anything about. We didn't have anything like that down south.
Yeah, but those are the worst thing in the world to run in a wrestling shoe. They have no arch.
But that's what they wanted. And maybe it was because they were, they just want to look tough in their wrestling shoes.
Well, that's what
another piece of it.
A lot of high school coaches, practice starts at 3:30, so you put on your wrestling shoes, and then to go to practice, and then they'll say, well, let's go for a mile run. So you're in your shoes,
oh, right, yeah,
and then go back in, or some of them are like, no, don't wear those shoes anywhere that's not on the mat,
right?
I mean, it's like a God, thing, holy ground, you can't wear those shoes, except for
don't get them dirty, keep the mat clean, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But also, but kind of coming back to what you were saying is, there's this trend now of like minimalist shoes, like running barefoot and things like that, and like wrestling shoes are pretty minimalist.
Yeah.
There's not any real cushion there so it changes kind of the way that you have to run.
When you look at amateur wrestling shoes, they're very similar to like a boxing shoe as well.
Right.
I mean, just a low profile boxing shoe boot. So, I mean, that's amateur wrestling shoes were my first professional wrestling shoe as well. So I I was involved in that.
Mine too. And then eventually you got to put on you got to buy a pair of wrestling boots,
right? And have your tassels and all your other stuff.
No, I never had tassels. Not me. Only on my nipple rings,
That's because you were moonlighting.
That's it, baby. I got that $100 in one. Anytime you want to borrow it.
Really? At what interest rate there? That's
Well, what interest rate would you give me to loan me some money?
Yeah, see, I know there's always going to be a string attached because Mr. Frye is kind of like Mr. Miyagi, and he has grasped the pebble from my hand there once or twice, so he has learned.
That's experience for you.
Yeah.
If you could buy it, everyone would have it.
That's right. But Mr. Severn's got it all, baby.
Most of it.
So how is life on the island there, Mr. Severn?
Well, I mean, within the last couple of days, a seawall got put in, and that's pretty unique because it was just there to kind of protect the frontage of the property. So I will probably be posting some pictures and a short little video of what it looks like now. I mean, it looks like a mud hole, but at least it's got a nice steel wall in front of the mud hole because they had to do a lot of backfill into it. So after a few more days of drying that out and a little more raking and some other stuff, it'll be looking beautiful once again.
Yeah,
manual labor.
But Will, just to let you know, it's just an interesting property that we purchased a little over a year ago. I was looking for a waterfront property, but my better half actually found an island. And I kept thinking, an island. It's the first time that, I mean, I don't swim well. I've never owned a boat other than a canoe. So
she wants to know where you're at all the time.
Well, it's pretty. I mean, I always thought it'd be cool as a kid if you owned a castle. You just simply bring up the drawbridge and you got the moat around you. And I've got the exact same thing right now, except I don't have the drawbridge. That's all. The moat is my lake that surrounds the property, but it's actually pretty cool. This actually is it's summer number 2 out on the basically just look at it as a summer cottage. So I've got the best of both worlds. I mean, it's I'll be here till roughly October, and then as it starts to get a little cooler, if I get close to seeing that first snowflake come from the sky, I shall scamper towards Phoenix.
When do I get a key? When do I get my key to the property?
Oh, at the wintertime.
Oh, okay. Make sure I get it nice and clean.
December.
So you got it from the rest of October, November, December, January, February, even I'll throw in March.
Wow.
As well.
You're just amazing.
Well, if do you need a tissue?
Yes, I do. How much did you charge me for it?
But me personally, I do have to kind of wrap things on up here, guys. I would like to. I could go on forever. I mean, if you're gonna be down there tomorrow, there, Will, I'd be more than happy to just chat some more on this. But definitely, I want you to plug any and other ways that people can find you, or that they can follow you, find you.
I think that was. I think that was it. It was like 5 SEAL secrets.
Okay. And your website
to get to learn how to get naked. It's that get naked mindset. Never quit, accept failure, kill mediocrity, expose your fears, and do the work. My website for CBD is nw-recovery.com, or naked if you want to write naked into your search engine, nakedwarriorrecovery.com, and on Instagram at Naked Warrior Recovery.
That's a fancy ass watch. What kind of watch is that?
It's just a Casio G-Shock. Got issued it
Yeah.
before I left. I'm not.
Well, at first, I was noticing that look like you have a watch on both wrists.
So this is a whoop strap. Measure my sleep and
couldn't see it
HRV
from my
and
angle.
all that other stuff. I think your AV team is going to get a better webcam for you next time, so you can see the details like that.
Ah, I see. Okay. Well, I hope to be in person next time.
That would be awesome.
You got issued that G-Shock?
Yeah. So I mean, it's not the best watch for like
For shark attacks?
shark attacks or combat swimmer or anything like that, but it's fine. Like I had to learn how to tell analog time again. So,
Yeah.
like, how do you what's is that a 7 or an 8? So yeah.
Yeah, I got one of these Luminox. This is like my 7th or 8th one.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I break them. They're supposed to be
They're supposed to be super tough, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm like, what kind of a Navy SEALs tested this? This is like I break them every freaking 2 months. So I quit buying them, and then I got this one at the what the hell, at the pawn shop.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just rocking like just a regular old. It's a G-Shock. It's pretty tough. Had it for a couple years.
Yeah.
I'll probably trade it out when the battery dies because you can't you can change the battery, but it's gonna leak and all that other stuff. So
A leaking battery. Ooh.
That this concludes another episode of Toxic Masculinity. Hope you were entertained. If some of you thought that we stepped over the line, well, that is our prerogative to make you think. And for some of you, it might be the first time in your life. Put your man pants on. You are dealing with 2 old white men who identify as Americans. The can-do spirit. You can either watch us or choose not to. That's one of your prerogatives.
Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.